how you see the world is your perspective. So if somebody looks scary to you, they're going to be scary to you. If you perceive them to be scary, then it will be scary. Combined, we probably have like a little over $20,000. So that should be enough money for us to, wait a minute, here we go, move to. Welcome to the Bamboo Project Podcast, where you can see how we turn our life into a living. So I want to start off by giving a shout out to the Bamboo Project family. I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in every week. This may be your first episode, but for everybody else, this is episode 39. And if this is your first episode, you have a lot of catching up to do. And for all the people who do not have YouTube Premium and still want to hear this podcast and listen to it, the audio link will be in the description below. We are on all major streaming platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Breaker, Radio Public, Castbox, Overcast, and Pocket Cast. So for everyone listening to this podcast and not watching it, okay, we have a YouTube channel which is currently doing numbers right now. We're getting our subscribers up. It is called, you already know what it's called, The Bamboo Project, where we have over 200 videos of cooking tutorials. We have travel lifestyle vlogs. We have tips on makeup, we got hair growth, we got basketball, we currently have wholesale and real estate, and everything us on the channel. And if you want to see how we accomplish all of these tasks and our day-to-day activities, you can find us on social media. Okay, mine is DonivanGray, and my amazing girlfriend AnetaBurn, AnetaBurn. My Instagram and Twitter are the same thing. So on the Bamboo Project, we have multiple different projects. Okay, we have the food project, we have the music project, we have the clothing project, we have the fitness project, we have the sports project, and we have the Bamboo Project podcast, which you're listening to right now. If you want to, get on the phone with me, you can DM me on my Instagram, DonivanGray. We can get on the phone to have a little, you do a consultation or just kind of have a little talk about what you're going through. If I can help you out, let me know. And we have the timestamps for this video in the description below, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're listening to it on one of the major streaming platforms. Okay, so today's date is December 15th. It is 2:04 p.m. For all of the family that already knows how we get down on this side, we are very late. We will get into the reason why we are very late, but I think it's justified for today. The Bamboo Project podcast has four different segments. They're called segments. We have four different segments. Okay, we have the life update, which is, as the title says, a life update. That is when I will give you an update of what my last week consisted of. We have episode playback. That's when I have a chance to kind of go over what I talked about on last week's podcast in case I might have missed something or want to elaborate a little bit more on it. We have Donovan's questions, which when I kind of have a question I've been asking myself for the whole week, and I kind of want to share with the public to see what other people think about it. Okay. And then we have the last and final segment, which is the topic for the day. Right. Today's agenda will be, you have to either have the energy, the money, or the network. Okay. Or no, that's it. That's the first one. Because last week we did actually go over the topics because other things that came up. And the other topic is people will want you to lie to them and then resent you for doing it. Those are two things we're going to talk about today. I have the time to do so. So starting off with the life update, I think I'm going to start with Airbnb. So we are doing real estate right now. We are getting into the real estate game, honestly, from a lot of different perspectives. So I have a friend, Namaya, who is doing real estate. He has had Airbnbs. He was an agent and a realtor, or he was an agent before. And he also is flipping properties right now. So, we've been kind of trying to figure out what I'm going to do from that end. So we've been talking about real estate with him and trying to get into the flipping game from that side. We've also been learning wholesaling, which is when we get a property under contract, which means that we tell the person we're going to buy the house for a certain price. Then we don't have the money to pay for it. So we take that contract and give it to another person who has the money to pay for it. And then they pay us a finder's fee for that property. We're doing that. And now we are looking to get into Airbnb within the next 6 months. So let me drink some water. I need a break. So this people may be new, but they know how we get down on the podcast. Don't do it again. It's ASMR. Okay, so let's see. What should I even start with this Airbnb thing? It's kind of a lot to unpack, but I might have talked about this before on the podcast a while ago. There is a girl in Atlanta. Her name is Alexia Wright. Amazing individual from what I've seen as far as how she handles her business and how she markets herself, and what she's doing. I think she has 25 plus properties of Airbnb. I believe she's 23 years old, 24 years old. And according to her, last I checked, she's grossing like $60,000-$70,000 a month, something like that from Airbnb, at 23 years old. I think that's phenomenal. She was on Earn Your Leisure podcast. She talks about her experience starting an Airbnb, how she almost lost all of her apartments last year because of the corona, or this year because of the corona pandemic thing going on. So we have decided that we want to get into that also because we have been investing into the stock market. And people who are new to the podcast, on my Instagram, I had put in my Instagram, and when the whole market crashed, that step one for my plan was to put money into the stock market. So when it flips by the end of the year, going into next year, we have money to invest into real estate. We were planning on using it to actually flip a property. But now it seems like we're probably going to end up using doing Airbnb. So combined, we probably have like a little over $20,000 combined between the both of us. So that should be enough money for us to, now take a minute, here we go, move to Atlanta. Okay, so we are considering moving to Atlanta to start Airbnb. The Airbnb we would get a luxury Airbnb in one of the one of the luxury buildings, and then probably like a 2-bedroom maybe, and then maybe 2 bathrooms, something like that. And then we would just stay in a studio in the same building. We would rent out one for Airbnb, and the other one we would stay in ourselves. We just kind of been looking to see how the Airbnb game is gonna go, because my goal right now is to have income coming in that I'm not necessarily two types of income that I create myself, where it's not really somebody paying me, as if when I was doing bike messaging. That one was closer. That one was in the middle of where I want to be as a entrepreneur or a person that adds value, and where I'm trying to get to, because I was not working at an establishment. Like, I wasn't at Starbucks, I wasn't at Target, I wasn't at Whole Foods. I was like, okay, I'm not working for a check necessarily, because with those jobs, what I don't like is there's a cap on how much money you can make. That was my problem there. The issue is that I had to work very, very hard for the money that I wanted to get as a bike messenger. Now, it was good at first because I kind of got to dictate my own hours, and I was a 1099 contractor, so I kind of learned the ins and outs of how to be a entrepreneur on the legal side of it, because that's one step of being an entrepreneur, is a 1099 contractor. So I learned a little bit of that. And then I'm trying to transition now into I make as much money as I can create to make. Before, it was how hard can I work to make a lot of money? Because before, when I was working at the YMCA, I used to think, okay, if I can come to work, on time every day, then I can make X amount. I can make $1,000 for that week or for the next 2 weeks. Then I started working as a bike messenger at a restaurant, and I said, okay, if I could come in early and take more shifts, I can make a lot of money. But what happened was, people, for whatever reason, they were always kind of stifling me from doing that, because I would try to pick up all the extra shifts, and then once at a certain point, they would say, no, Donovan, you can't get any more shifts. And I'm like, oh, y'all are putting a ceiling on me, so you're telling me I can't make more money? Not that I don't have the ability to, y'all are actually preventing me from making more money. And I'm like, okay, I can't do that. So then I got into the back messaging game for like Caviar or DoorDash now, Uber, Postmates, that kind of thing. So doing that, I realized, okay, I can come to work and work 12 hours a day every single day, and I can make as much money as I can make as long as I can take that many orders. Now, there's a cap on that as well, but the ceiling is a lot higher, because now I kind of dictate how much money I can make. Nobody is telling me, Donovan, you can't make any more money. It would just be at that point physically impossible to make more money. I can't work more than 24 hours in a day. That's just all I can work. But like I said earlier, I was going in the right direction. So now Airbnb, if I can have enough people on staff that are able to clean the Airbnb, check people in and out, things like that, then I can just keep growing the company. I can just keep growing it and growing it and growing it. And there's no ceiling how much money I can make, unless, all the money in the world. That's pretty much the only ceiling. And at that point, I'm fine with that. That's our plan right now going forward with Airbnb, is to try and do that. And that's the main reason why I feel like I really want to get into it. Because right now we're doing wholesaling. Airbnb is a lot less actual man labor to do it, but the barrier to entry is higher because you have to pay to actually get an Airbnb. Like, that's the issue with it. So because we have money saved up, it's easier for us to just go, okay, we're going to move right now, get a nice place, pay for our own rent, and it'll be fine. As opposed to if you're just starting out and you don't have any money, it's like, okay, how do I pay for an Airbnb? Because what we're planning on doing is we want to pay like 3 months or 4 months in advance on our rent, just as a kind of a concession to the landlord, the property owner. Like, hey, we're serious about this. And, we want to kind of lessen your whatever kind of issues you may have with having Airbnb in the building. So if we pay our rent out for the next 5 months, you go, okay, worst case scenario, if I don't have a tenant for 5 months, I know I got my money. And that's perfectly fine with me. So you can't really do that if you don't have the money, though. So because we were able to invest in the stock market and get some returns on that and save a little bit, now we're able to kind of make moves that require money. Now with wholesaling, you can do wholesaling with $0 and make money off of it. It's going to be extremely hard to do that. It's possible, but it's going to be extremely hard to use zero of your own money. You have to be a very good negotiator. You're going to have to be very creative, and you're going to have to be very good or have very good social skills. So that's how that goes. And then the flipping thing also, you need to have money. Or somebody like Nehemiah, who I'm partnering with to do deals. So he sent me a deal today or yesterday that I'm gonna have to look over to see if he wants to know if I want to get in on a deal with him. I'll give him some money towards the down payment, and then I'll get a return of whatever percentage I put in on the down payment. So like I said, I'm trying to make some moves over here. I'm trying to get out of not being evicted. I am trying to not get evicted. I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to create a life that is worth living. Or turn my life into a living. You know how we do here on the Bamboo Project podcast. So that's where we're at with Airbnb. Melissa wants to do Airbnb very bad. It was mostly her idea, like 90%. It was 90% her idea. And she is tired of wholesaling real estate, so she wants to move yesterday. If it was up to her, we would have probably left already and just been walking around Atlanta trying to figure out what we're going to do next. But I would prefer us not to do that, just because I'd like to have a plan before we go over there and then, act a fool over there. I'd rather go, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to act a fool when we get there? That's kind of how I like to approach situations. So we chose Atlanta for Airbnb because it's a very Airbnb friendly place. And honestly, that's where Alexia is at. So we kind of figured if she's doing it, then other people can do it there as well. They have nicer buildings. It's open because of the whole pandemic situation that's going on. So people are still going there and things like that. So I'm like, okay. And we think about buying her course too, which is about $2,500. So I'm like, all right, this seems like it would be a good place to move to. It's nice weather as far as I know. I don't know if it gets cold, how cold it gets down there. I'm not sure. But either way, so that's why we chose Atlanta. Those are the main reasons why we picked to go to that place. So another thing too is both my sisters are sending me money soon, which is kind of funny. So my sister on my dad's side is sending me money because my dad passed. He left me some money, and it's been taking. My dad passed earlier in the year. I don't really remember which month it was. And he had left me like a few $1,000s. So I've been waiting to see when I was going to get the money, and it just seems so that I'm probably going to get the money this week. It honestly should be coming in within the next 3 days. So I'm taking some of that money and putting that towards the down payment or putting that towards the Airbnb money. Then I had told you guys earlier, the only reason I'm able to even survive right now without having a job or paying is because of my sister Neffy. Like, I say this all the time. She's on the podcast before. What episode was that she was on? Like I said, I would not be where I am right now without Neffy. Without her, I wouldn't be doing any of these things. She supported me financially for this. She has loaned me money when I was getting into the biking game and doing things like that. So like, I can't say it enough how much my success is built as a foundation of her. Like, she is the foundation of what I am today. And that's just on a financial aspect, because she has even taught me different ways to look at life and kind of how to finish things. Because one thing that she's very good at is she finishes, as far as I know, everything that she does. She went to the military. She was in the air. She's in the Air Force right now. She's in the, she went to Towson University. She got a double major and maybe a double minor from there. She used to walk to work to save money. She bought her car just so she walked to work like several miles to get to work every day. It didn't matter if it was raining or snowing or cold or whatever. So she could save money to buy her car all cash, because she didn't want to have a loan on a car. Like that's the kind of person that she is. She's that kind of like dedicated, persistent person. So I'm not on that level, but a lot of it's rubbed off on me, and we have conversations. And one thing she'd always told me is that I don't finish things. So I'm like, okay. She's like, yeah, Don, if you gotta finish, even if you don't like it, you gotta finish it. So I'm like, all right. I started internalizing that and going, okay, even if I don't like something, I'm gonna try and at least finish it out so I can say, okay, I did it, and that's it. So what episode was it? 26. So it was episode 26 that we had her on the podcast. So it, like I said, because of her, that's where I am right now. So about 2 months ago, I had said to her, hey, can I borrow some money and I'll pay you back, at the end of the year. I figured worst case scenario, if I don't make any money wholesaling, then I could at least get back on the bike and start riding my bike again or something like that, or use the money that my other sister Jasmine was going to give me to pay off Neffy. So I had kind of did the math to figure out how much money I'm going to need for my expenses for the next 3 months. It's been 3 months. It was 3 months. Yeah, wow, it's only 3 months. So I came up with about $5,200. So she has sent me about $2,000 so far, because I was trying to figure out how I can use my own money too that I have left over here and there to kind of survive each week. And Melissa gets the $180 from unemployment or from unemployment. So I'm trying to finesse, because like I said, I don't want to have to use all the money that she lent me if I just splurge in on whatever case might be. So I'm trying to just push back on how much I need. But since I'm doing wholesaling requires down payments of EMD. I'm like, got you. All right. So maybe I could use some of that money to do that. So funny enough, she said that she'll be able to send me this money this week. So she sent me $2,000 so far. Last week she sent me $1,500, and then the rest she said she would send me this week, plus the $4,000 that my other sister is going to send me this week, hopefully. So I'm just trying to figure out how can I use all of these monies to benefit and move forward on this. So yes, I was just definitely I gotta just finesse. We got 2 more weeks to get a deal, and not really to get a deal, but we have 2 more weeks to the end of the year, and then the moratorium is up next year. But I feel like they're gonna do something with that and change it or something like that. So not change it, but extend it. So that's kind of where we are right now. And as far as moving to Atlanta, I think that if the moratorium is extended, we probably would stay here a little bit longer, just because we don't have to rush to get to Atlanta. So, I'm trying to think. Oh, I don't know if you guys have noticed, I'm trying to speak a little bit louder, because I've noticed that for some strange reason, I think that not that I'm talking loud, I think I'm talking normal. So when I'm listening back to it, I sound unenthusiastic. So I think that if I'm louder, it sounds like I have more energy, because it requires more energy to speak louder. And funny enough, when I was running a game on girls years ago, or learning the game, that was part of it. It was like kind of speaking loud. And I realized that talking to them that when you're kind of low energy, low monotone like that, that energy is transferable. People feel that when you're like, hey, yeah, I'm going to the store, welcome to the Bamboo Project podcast. And it's like, you feel that. And I the reason I feel like that is because it literally on a physical level requires you to use more energy to yell than it does to whisper. So I think that other people can either pick up on that or feel that when you're talking, that you're speaking louder. So that's why I've been attempting to speak louder during the podcast. I'm gonna see how it sounds afterwards. The sound, it looks on the levels, I think it still sounds good. So that's a good sign. So yeah, I definitely wanted to address that, because I want to see how this intro sounds later when I hear it back and I'm speaking a lot louder. So, a couple of things that happened this week was I helped my mom with her campaign. She's running for councilwoman of District 12 in the Bronx. So if you are in the Bronx, District 12, look it up, go vote, write her in, do your thing. Because like I said before, a lot of people always want to vote for the president, and then they wonder why their life does not change. It's because the president does not change your life. The people who you vote, who you don't know are running for office in your local area, those are the reasons why your life is sucked and is fucked up. That's the people, not the president. So she was running. What episode was that I interviewed her? My mother.
What episode you interviewed her?
Yeah. Or when was it? When was it? Yeah. So it would be called Bronx Interviews, possibly, or Joyce Briscoe interview. If you just put that in on YouTube, you can watch my interview with her. And over the weekend, we had help with her campaign. She had asked us. I'm like, all right, cool. it was a very, very long weekend. I'm not gonna lie. We were there for 2 days. We went over there Friday morning and stayed over until Sunday night. And we were walking in buildings, doing the what is it called? Boots, not boots on the ground.
It's November 15th.
November 15th is the interview with my mother. What is it called when you are?
Bootstrapping?
Yeah, we were bootstrapping. That's what we were doing. So she had printed out hundreds of papers or flyers, you want to call them, because they're not really laminated, so I don't know if I'll call them flyers, but technically they are flyers. They're just on copy paper. And she had her name on. She had what she was running on. She had, how to write her in. And we went to, buildings, and we were just putting it in the elevators for everybody. We were putting it on the mailboxes. We were going to people's houses, knocking on. We didn't really knock on no doors, but we put them on on their door in the single family houses. And we were just walking around the projects, Edenwald project specifically in the Bronx. And we were just putting out the news that she's running for office. So a couple of times we spoke to some people and we explained to them what kind of was going on. But it was just a lot. It was a lot of walking up and down in the elevator, waiting, for the elevator, things like that. So we probably did like 4 or 5 project buildings, like actual buildings. And then we did like, I guess, the lower level project building, which probably are only maybe 5 floors or 4 floors, something like that. So we did that. And then after that, we walked down the block and we just went to all the houses on that block and just kind of put the notes there. So, I'm hoping that she'll be able to win. And the reason I say that is, the thing about it that I find funny is that she said in the interview last year, I believe, maybe the person who won by, there's only like 400 or 500 votes for them, which I think is hilarious because you can go to 500 people yourself and have them vote for you. Like a lot of people already have 500 followers on Instagram or whatever the case might be. So if you have all of those people vote for you, you could become the mayor, or not the mayor. You could become a council person in your area. Isn't that crazy? Like if you just had your followers who are near you vote for you, you probably become you would be in the office or in a political office. I think that's so crazy. So we don't really take into account that it's not that many people that need to vote for somebody to win. So she's putting a lot of work in. Then after that, we had went by the church where she was at, and we were talking to the coordinator of the people who were actually the coordinator. We were talking to the coordinator of the polling site. That's what he was. And he was telling us that when he was there, somebody had came and said, hey, I want to vote for Joyce Briscoe. I didn't get to vote for her because her name's not on the ballot. And I'm like, just like that, we could have possibly have lost a vote just because her name's not on the ballot. And so it was supposed to be, but we talked about it in that interview where the people who were actually running did some things to get her off the ballot. It's like nitpicking at her name and how the signatures were and how big the sign. It's just little things like that. So because of those things, they were able to get her off the ballot, but you can still write her in. So they don't tell you that though. So you have to be informed to know you can write somebody in. So the guy was saying, I wish I could have voted for her, but I didn't know. So now we're hoping that he went and told 3 other people that then counteract his one vote for the other person that he voted for. So that's what we're kind of hoping for with that. And then what else did we do? I think that was it for the campaigning. So the voting ends. The voting ends December 22nd. That's the last date. Or is that when it ends? December 22nd is election day. So we're gonna see what happens December 22nd. What day is that?
I think it's a Saturday.
Okay, so that means that.
No, it's not. It's a Tuesday.
That means that on the podcast, maybe depending on time, it's probably at night though. So I will put it on my page that day, and then the 29th you will hear what the outcome was. There's 2 more things I want to kind of touch on, because while we were doing this, how did this come up? We were talking about guys approach. Oh, Melissa was telling me that she feels more comfortable talking to people now because she's been doing this with my mom and nephew for a while, kind of just going out and campaigning and giving the flyers to people and explaining what's going on with the election. So my whole thing with that is, before, I believe she felt uncomfortable with talking to people, but nothing changed other than her mindset and her approach to talking to people. The people she's talking to have not changed. They're still random people she doesn't know. And I think that it's very important to remember that the person, like, how you see the world is your perspective. So if somebody looks scary to you, they're going to be scary to you. If you perceive them to be scary, then it will be scary. So now that she perceives people to not be a threat, she can talk to them and she can be calm and explain to them, hey, this is what's happening, that's what's going on. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I feel like a lot of times girls are either scared when a guy approaches them on the street, or they're angry when a guy catcalls them, or they just get emotional or annoyed when something happens with a male on the street, right? And the argument is that men should be trained how to handle looking at a woman they don't know and talking to her or not talking to her if they don't, if she doesn't be talked to. And I always say that I disagree with this logic because some men are going to be crazy and some men are not trained properly. You just can't help that. But what you can do is you can help how you react. Like you can change how you react to them. So personally, what I always say with Melissa is like, hey, the majority of people you walk past and that say something to you, they're still regular people. So if you treat them like they're some type of rapist, they're going to be upset. If you try to run away or start yelling at them, yeah, don't talk to me. Don't leave me alone. You fuck. If you start doing all of that, now the person feels insulted. Now they go, okay, I need to do something back to you. Now, is that the right thing to do for them to want to attack you? Of course not. Right? Should you have to worry about you provoking them? Yes, you should. Why? Because it can still end in something happening to you. And what you want to do is avoid the situation in its entirety. I've talked to people before, women before, where they have said that they have more or less befriended a catcaller and the catcaller helped them in a situation where they felt uncomfortable. And when I say befriended, I mean be cordial with. So somebody catcalls in the street, they go, hey, you look so pretty or whatever they might say. Say thank you. I appreciate that. And you keep walking. They come up to you and say, hey, can I talk to you? I'll get your number. If you're walking in a direction, you can say, hey, listen, I'm walking down this block. If you want to walk with me, fine. But I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop walking. I have somewhere to go. Oh, I know you have a boyfriend. Nah, I don't have a boyfriend, whatever the case might be. Can I get your number? And this is why I brought this up in the first place. I was thinking, right? I think girls should get a Cash App business card and say, listen, if you want me to take you seriously, here's my Cash App card right here. Okay. You could send me $100 and we could talk about us. We can have a conversation after this. If you're serious about even talking to me, here's my Cash App right now. The reason I came up with this too is because while we were walking, I had seen somebody else passing out his business card for us to go and work with him at, what does he do?
He is a youth counselor.
Yeah, he was a youth counselor. And I was like, dag, if Melissa and I had a Bamboo Project YouTube business card, we could have handed him ours as he handed us his.
He was handing us a flyer for someone that was running against your mom.
He asked us, hey, are you voting for anybody this year? And I'm like, yeah, definitely. Are you voting for anybody this year? He was like, yeah. So he got to give me a flyer for who he's voting for. And I was like, huh. Okay. I'm like, I got a flyer for him too. So I pulled out my flyer. I'm like, yeah, while we vote for her, you should vote for this person. And he was just like, what did he say? Oh, he was kind of taken back because he was like, oh, I didn't know that you were running. I'm like, yeah, we're doing the same thing, sir. We are both out here trying to get somebody in office that should be in office. I don't know about your person, though, if he should be in office or not, but I know that our person should be. So I just think it would have been funny because after we handed him our flyer, he gave us his flyer. He then proceeded to give us his business card. And I'm like, dag, I can't follow up on my business card because I don't have one. And I was just like, wouldn't it be great if girls could just have business cards of questions and it has answers to guys' responses? Like, it has answers to guys' responses, right? So if a guy comes up to you and if a guy comes up to you and he says, hey, miss, can I talk to you? Give him a business card, right? And it has all the responses to everything he might ask you. Can I talk to you? Not right now. I'm walking to, somewhere else. Oh, but do you have a boyfriend? I don't have a boyfriend. Or if you say I do have a boyfriend, he hits you with the, well, you can have friends. You have a response. I can have friends that I know and meet. Well, where would you meet your friends at? In a social setting. You say, listen, you can follow me on Instagram. Listen, here's my Instagram. Okay. And this is what I think girls need to understand, having social skills. If a guy comes up to you and says, hey, can I get your Instagram? You go, get your phone number. You go, listen here, Joe. I don't even know your name. You came up to me right now. You don't even know my name. You told me your name. And now you'll give me my phone number. Come on, Joe. What are you doing? Oh, okay. My name is Joe. All right, Joe, listen. Here's my Instagram. Okay. We could talk on Instagram. If things go well, I'll give you my number then. But until then, if I see you again, we say hi, keep it cordial. Most guys, if not the majority of all guys, are going to be like, okay, I can respect that. You didn't hurt their feelings. You're still safe. And now if you see them again, you can be like, hey, what's up, Joe? I seen you. What's going on? And now it might turn to something else. It might turn into like a, hey, let's say your name is Joanne. You're Joanne. He's Joe. Right? He like, hey Joanne, I actually know, you're looking for a job. I saw Instagram need a job. I know somebody that's hiring, or I know a thing that you might need. Now you're building relationships with people. It doesn't have to always be, oh my God, every guy that says hi to me and wants to flirt with me is trying to fuck, and that's all we're gonna do is fuck. Just be a normal human being. Have some social and conversational skills. So the last thing I want to touch on for my life update is DK4L. If you guys are unfamiliar, I have said this before. They are one of the reasons why I got into YouTube in the first place. They were making videos on YouTube of pranks and challenges and things like that, and vlogs of them traveling. And they had eclipsed multiple major YouTube channels at the time. Oprah, Breakfast Club. They just huge. They had huge followers. They had like millions of followers years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, right? And I was like, wow, this is 4 years ago. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Who are these people? They got views. They have videos with 23. They had videos with 23 million plus views and things like that. So I'm just like, wow, this is insane. So the K and DK4L had did some things a couple of years ago where he got caught up in some nonsense with another female, right? I had said this before. I saw a video where I was like, I don't really know if they like each other. I don't know. I don't know if he really likes her like that. Because one thing I've noticed is that it seems as though guys are more likely to cheat. 40 minutes? What's that? 209? Oh, I'm going to come to that too. Guys, wow, that's crazy. Guys are more likely to cheat on girls that they don't view as intelligent. I don't know. I guess it might be a turnoff. I think that it's a lack of respect. So, and now again, you can be intelligent and still get cheated on. But if you act unintelligent, then you probably get cheated on more often. Especially if you act emotionally unintelligent. I think that's the grounds, not the grounds, but I think that's one of the reasons why a guy will cheat. If you don't understand how he acts emotionally or how he interprets things emotionally, if you don't have a high emotional IQ, then you can't deal with him and his emotions. And that's I believe that's one of the things that will cause him to cheat. So with her, with the D in DK4L, I feel like she was very young at the time. She was very kind of goofy. She doesn't seem like very book smart. I don't even know if she's very street smart either. I don't really know. She's a cool person. So, from what I've seen on YouTube, let me put that out there. So again, recently he got caught up in some other nonsense where he grabbed some girl's butt. If you want to go find that, it's on YouTube all over the place. Just put, the K and DK4L grabs girl's butt. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I think that it's wild. They haven't put out a video really addressing this, and they are probably going to be together right now. I think they're back together right now. And I'm bringing this up because I think it applies to multiple people outside of just them individually. But them specifically, for the first part of this, what I'm about to say, they are very popular. A tweet that she had tweeted years ago had said, Nicki Minaj messed up this Yo Gotti song with her remix, something to that effect, right? And then somebody quote tweeted it and said, or commented and said, at least Hurricane didn't cheat on her though. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Like this comment or this tweet is from 4 years ago, and you're quote tweeting it and commenting on it about what's happening with her now. I'm like, that's crazy. And I'm just wondering what kind of pressure that puts on somebody in a relationship. Because what I noticed is that she turned off her Instagram comments, right? So you can't, her Twitter comments. You cannot write her on Twitter unless she, what is it called when they respond?
They're like friends with you? Or?
Nah, she has to like be directly talking to you for you to respond to her. That's the only way that you can respond. And I think it's crazy because imagine you take your man back after he cheated on you, right? And every single day, 100 people are like, "Damn, you are dumb. Damn." That's what I'm saying. I'm being generous. Or conservative, because they have millions of followers. So I'm like, imagine every day you get up. There's thousands of people just like, I say hundreds, because I feel like they have millions, but I don't know if 1,000 people are talking about them like now still. I definitely think there's hundreds of people still tweeting him like, damn, you're not, like, you stupid. While you take him back, he gonna cheat on you again. I'm pretty sure she gets hundreds of those, right? And I'm like, damn, just as a human being, you take your man back after he cheat on you because emotionally you want to be with him. But every single day you have to see somebody telling you that you're stupid for doing that. So I'm just wondering how that affects their relationship going forward. And because it's such a public figure, I'm wondering how they're going to get over the fact that their job relies on them being in the public, and they are going to attempt to not address the situation in a video. Because I think if they go into a video and explain it, I think they'll have a better chance of addressing it depending on what is said in the video. But if they don't address it in the video, I don't really know what happens from here. Like, do people just ignore the fact that happened? People just gonna be like, all right, well, yeah, we're just gonna forget that happened. Yeah, just gonna brush it under the rug. So I'm really curious to see how this plays out, because they stopped doing Vlogmas, which is when people will vlog every single day, and they do that every year. They had really big Vlogmases. They would go out and pay for a whole new intro and things like that. They were doing it big. So they decided this year not to do it because they want to work on their relationship. So I'm very curious to see what goes forward with this in their YouTube personality on their channel. So that ends today's life update. The next segment is episode playback, right? So I listened to last week's episode this morning, and one thing I'll remember going forward, because I was kind of bored myself, honestly. If I have something that's, I guess, I don't understand completely in its entirety, then I should not start off the podcast with that, because I'm listening to that and I'm just like, damn, this is rough. And it's like, that's the intro to the podcast. Like, you put it on and you trying to hear me explain a PCR test, coronavirus, spike proteins, and I'm just like, I'm listening to it like, damn. And imagine a person who has no understanding of or reference point of what I'm talking about. It's just straight science stuff. So I think that I'm gonna have to try to get around doing that again. I want to bring up, I don't know if I brought it up before, me getting kicked out of Clubhouse room. But no, I guess no, kicked out of Clubhouse. I was on a panel for Dr. Sebi, that's what it was. And these people in the room were medical professionals who made a room, and it was called Debunking Dr. Sebi. And I'm like, okay, what are we talking about here? I mean, if y'all know, on the channel, we have a lot of Dr. Sebi inspired foods, and I've been studying Dr. Sebi for years now. So I'm like, okay, let's see what's going on. I'm thinking maybe I could either learn something or I can help somebody else learn something. So I come into the room, and it's led by some black women. There was one black guy, I think, that was there, who, for all intents and purposes, he could have been, he's acting very feminine in my opinion. So I get in the room. I'm trying to get on the stage. I'm like, I want to talk about this, because what it seems is that they were highly misinformed about Dr. Sebi on every aspect of what he is and what he does. And I think the problem is that because they're in the medical profession, they think that they can make fun of and mock and demonize Dr. Sebi for what he was trying to do. And I would have a problem if they were doing that if they had a basis on why they were doing it. But when we ask them questions about what they believe about Dr. Sebi, they don't have any answers. One girl in particular said that, I think she was a doctor. She was like, I can't believe he'll write a book that says that he can cure herpes with food. That's impossible. Why would he put that out there? He's peddling that kind of information that's not true. Now, another guy came on and was like, well, he actually never wrote a book. He died before he could write a book. So whoever wrote that book was not him. And it's like, if you do your research, you would know this, but y'all don't. Because you're in the medical profession, you appeal to authority and you feel like, okay, I know what I'm talking about because I studied these books. But it's like, if who wrote the books for you? Have you guys studied Dr. Sebi? And I thought, honestly, going into that room, that it would be people who are doctors who kind of studied Dr. Sebi's methods and then debunked it. That's not what it was. There's a bunch of people who had no idea of what it was, other than the fact that food can cure diseases. And they were like, nah, it's impossible. It's not a thing. It can't happen. So the room started getting bigger. It's like 500 people in there, maybe 600 people in the room after a while. So I was annoyed about it before I got on stage, because I'm like, okay, y'all just talking some craziness. I get on stage, and now one of the problems that I ran into when I got on stage was that, one, I was very hyped up and excited, right? So when I was talking, I was kind of rambling without an actual conclusion to what I was saying. I was just kind of saying things about Dr. Sebi. And I was also annoyed because of how they were portraying him. And third, I wasn't speaking in the language of a doctor. So all those three things combined didn't make for a comprehensible monologue, I guess you could say, because Clubhouse is normally one person will be talking at a time. So because of all of those things, even though what I was saying was true, I was saying it in a way that allowed them to nitpick at the words that I chose. So one thing I said was, like, let's say I get confused between elements and atoms, things like that, right? I don't even know. I forgot which one is which. So I said that there are alkaline atoms, I said they're alkaline minerals is what I said. They were alkaline minerals. And they were like, oh no, that's impossible. There's no such thing. What's the name of, what is the alkaline mineral, huh? And I'm like, oh, let me think about it. There is no alkaline mineral. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, you know what I'm referring to. If you're a doctor, your job is to know the words that I'm talking about. If you know what I'm trying to say, that's on you. I mean, it's not on you because I'm the one saying it. But if we're having an understanding or trying to figure out something or come to a solution or an agreement here, then you bring your knowledge to the table and I bring my knowledge to the table. I have not went to medical school, so I don't know the terms that I don't have the terms in my regular vocabulary to use. I don't use those words every day. So you guys do. So thankfully, somebody in the audience, I might have been a doctor. Somebody was like, yeah, there are such things as alkaline elements that are on the periodic table. Like they're on there. There's, and they were naming the earth metals or things like that. And I'm like, yes, exactly. Like, you know what I'm trying to say. Don't try and, I think it's called is it the scarecrow argument or can you look that up? It's either the straw man theory, straw man argument, which is where you kind of nitpick at something I'm not talking about to disprove my initial argument. So that's if I say, an example of the straw man theory would be, I know I saw you yesterday by the store. You was wearing a red shirt. And you would go, that wasn't me. I wasn't wearing a red shirt. And it's like, yeah, but you were there. Like, I saw you at the store. I know it was you. But, right, it was magenta. And it's like, but it was you. But you told me it was a red shirt, so it couldn't have been me. And it's like, okay, if you want to nitpick about the actual color and what number on the Rubik's, what is that thing called? The RGB code. If you want to, it's a YL00X, then sure, we can argue about that. But then we avoid the actual point of, why were you at that store when you told me you weren't going to be at the store? That's the problem that I had in that room with them. So as I got on the stage, like I said, my problem, which I fully acknowledge, is that I was rambling and I was kind of annoyed. So I was probably coming off as kind of aggressive. So when I was done, I stopped talking, right? What happened was I waited to be able to speak my piece because when I first got into the room, there weren't many people on the stage who knew about Dr. Sabi. So I'm like, okay, I kind of want to answer the questions and then kind of dispute the things that people are saying about him or the things or the method or the electric food diet that they don't understand, and I can explain it. So I'm waiting. I'm being patient. I'm waiting. I'm like, okay, people are coming on the stage. They're talking. I'm like, all right, I'm going to wait my turn. I got kicked off of the stage and sent back to the audience. So now I'm annoyed because I'm like, we were having a conversation. Y'all are talking to people who don't know about it. So y'all are making it seem as if y'all are right because the people y'all are talking to don't know the diet. All they've done is seen the pictures on all the memes online where it says mucus is the death of you and don't have mucus in your body. That's all they see. So I'm trying to go in there and explain to them, okay, this is what that means. This is what they're trying to say. I was moved to the audience. So I can't, in the audience, you can't speak. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, now I'm pressing the raise your hand button in Clubhouse to get back on the stage, right? I get back on the stage. Actually, before I even get back on the stage, people are saying, other people who know about the diet are on the stage referencing what I said. Saying, yeah, there was a guy here earlier who was talking about the metals and the minerals and the periodic table and the food, how it helps. And, he was talking about it. So I'm pressing the raise my hand button and get back on the stage. I finally get back on the stage. So I'm like, okay, I'm listening, I'm waiting. So as we're talking, or as I think I was about to say something, and I'm like, okay, if I'm going to talk, I have to talk louder because people are not hearing what I'm saying. So as everybody started talking at the same time, right? Everybody at the same time is talking. They go, hey, listen, Donovan, if you cut people off again, we're going to kick you off the stage. So I'm like, as I was talking, there are 4 other people talking at the same time. But it was one person in particular, Kimberly, chose me as a person to not be on the stage if I start, if I start cutting people off. So I'm like, all right. So I said, my thing is, like I said, last time I didn't cut nobody off. I got moved from the stage to the audience. This time I'm like, hey, I want to say something. They're like, oh, people are talking. I'm like, all right, cool. Then it happens again. So somebody finished. This is the hard part about Clubhouse. You're trying to time the best point when you should talk, right? Because you're like, okay, if somebody finished talking, okay, now I'm going to say my piece. But if other people start talking, everybody trying to time their point, everybody starts talking at the same time. So this happens. Somebody is talking maybe like a minute or so. I'm like, they finished talking. I'm like, okay, I'm going to explain why what they're saying is incorrect. So I'll unmute myself. I start talking. While I'm talking, Someone else starts talking, and someone else starts talking, and someone else starts talking, and then they go, you know what, Donovan, you can't be in the room no more. You got to go back to the audience, and I got kicked back to the audience again, right? So now I'm annoyed because I'm like, you guys are, one, not addressing what I said, two, you're aligned about what's going on, and three, you kicked me down to the audience the first time for not speaking, and the second time for cutting people off. So I'm like, now I'm annoyed. So that was just my experience with that part of the Clubhouse. So I think that, again, my approach to it is the issue. Melissa got on Clubhouse later, and I think this is a funny thing about it. So Melissa got on Clubhouse, and she was telling me earlier that she was telling me earlier I should have cut people off, and I was explaining to her the same thing I just said right now. When she got on, it was her turn to speak. They said, hey, Melissa, your turn. You were next in the line or the queue. What do you want to say? So she starts explaining everything, right? About the diet. She's done. While she was talking, somebody said, what word was that? Did you say oxidize or oxidate? Oxidation or oxidize? What word did you use? She was like, I said oxidize. Oh, okay. All right. So she finished talking, explaining it, and they were like, okay, so who's next? And who wants to talk up, who wants to come up next and talk? And I'm like, so when she comes on here and explains it verbatim and word for word, what y'all know is incorrect, and she debunks what y'all think as medical professionals was incorrect, y'all don't have nothing to say. It's just, all right, well, who's next that we can try and pick on? Because obviously we can't pick on her, and they just left it alone. Nobody said anything about it. Nobody responded to her. Nobody answered her. It was brushed under the rug. And that's one of my issues too. That's kind of something similar I do on the podcast, because one thing I've learned is that when you make a good point, most people just stop talking. So now you don't even get to have that conversation anymore because they don't want to even seem bad or wrong. They just go, okay, all right. I can't prove you wrong, but all right, I don't believe you, but I can't prove you wrong. And it's like, what? So for me, when I speak the way I speak now, which is without all of the big words that I used to use, years ago, it's because I feel like it's easily digestible to other people. Now, the downside of that is when I get into a room of intellectuals, because I don't use those words as often, I don't have them on a ready to go. So then my words come off as uninformed and uneducated. And it's like, damn, I got to find a middle ground between using words that people understand and can readily identify with, and also being able to explain a theory in detail. So that's kind of what the experience was on Clubhouse at the end of it. I just think it's crazy. And then Melissa, listen, this is, what's today's date? Today is December 15th? 15th. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Did I not pay my, I hope I didn't. Oh fuck. Please somebody didn't miss my payment. I feel like I did. Fuck. I think I missed my fucking credit card payment. That's mad. So, oh fuck. Why didn't y'all tell me? What? So December 15th. I want to put this out here because Melissa was out, because that was her first time of being, I guess going viral, or I guess being seen by a lot of people. I guess I don't know what to call it. When she got up on stage, people were tweeting because there was a hashtag for this particular room. So Melissa ended up getting into arguments with multiple people on Twitter about the situation, and she was not handling it well. She was very angry. She wanted to keep going back and forth with them. She wanted to prove her point. She didn't want to look bad or look stupid to them. And I don't think that mentality is going to work going forward. If we're going to be very popular, very successful, I don't think that is the best way to go about it. So I think today or that day was a good time, or her first time kind of experiencing what it's going to be like to be known by a lot of people. And I think, hopefully the next time it happens, she can handle a lot better, because she was fuming. Like, she was highly upset. She wanted to keep responding to people. She wanted to insult them and make fun of them and tell them that they're ugly and that they're fat, because, that's why their diet doesn't work for them, because they don't want to eat better and they only want to eat Oreos and pudding and stuff. And I'm like, it's almost like arguing with a brick. Like, it doesn't make any, the people do not want to be wrong. Even if you give them pure evidence, which is what she did. Once she did it, they were like, well, where's that article from? Or one girl said, if my body only allows me to eat banana pudding and Oreos, that's what I'm going to eat. And it's like, why would you argue with somebody like that? If she believes that she should only be eating banana pudding and Oreos, it's like, come on, what kind of person is this? And then one thing I learned too from the interaction is that yes, one thing that happened that comes from that situation that I learned is how fast that taught me how fast a situation can go from being little to being very big, because when you're on Twitter, right, people are just kind of commenting and they might see a quote or a tweet and be like, oh, this is dumb. And then just, keep pushing, right? But being on the other end of it, I was able to see how it affected Melissa, where it's like somebody may just comment something. Now, I don't know if the person who saw it may have felt like, they may have just felt like, oh yeah, that's funny or that's silly. Or they might just laughed at it because it's whatever. But on her end, it's like, is this person laughing at me? Or they think what I'm saying is wrong? What's wrong with them? Why they saying this to me? And I'm like, damn, this could be really crazy for other people who are behind this, because I probably quote tweeted mad things I thought was funny, I thought it was ridiculous, and just kind of put it out there, not thinking that a person behind this is going to be like, oh my God, how would they say this about me? When I was talking, when I first got onto the Clubhouse stage about Dr. Sebi, and one guy tried to come at me for using the word alkaline mineral and saying that it's not a real thing, right? My body felt like telling him, suck my dick. That's what my body felt like saying, right? But I think it's crazy because I don't think I would have said that in person. Only because, the fact that the person is not there. But my instant reaction was to just be like, yo, suck my dick. Like, you doing too much. That was my first instant reaction. I'm like, damn, social media could really have somebody fucked up, because I didn't say anything. Because the reason I didn't say anything too is because I know if we were in person, that would have been handled very differently. Like, it would have been like, yo, so explain to me why you think minerals are wrong. Or explain to me why you think there are no such things as alkaline minerals. That's what would have happened. But because there is no actual dialogue, it's just try and get your thing out first. My instant reaction was to say that. So I think that that's another problem with social media, is that it really intensifies your emotion on there. So something that can be as small as so you telling me alkaline minerals are not real goes to suck my dick is wild to me. And I'm like, I had the wherewithal to not say that. There are many people who I know don't have that in them to be like, yeah, I feel like I'm not going to say that on social media, because to them, there's no repercussions for that. For me, I'm like, I wouldn't say this in real life to you. So I'm not going to say this on social media, because I wouldn't say it in real life. Then it probably wouldn't even get to that point if we were talking in real life anyways. So I'm like, it's just crazy how being on Clubhouse really made me get to that space where I'm like, oh, I'm really just about to violate and say something crazy. And the last thing I want to get to was Isiash Williams' book I talked about. What I want to clarify about the video, I say you can't post any videos. What I was trying to say is that how he was feeling during that accident or after the accident, his thoughts are only in his head. Like, they're only there, as far as you can't pull your thoughts out. You can write them down, but everything you were thinking and how you were feeling in that moment is only going to be there, and you remember. It's like a memory. So only he will be able to know exactly what he felt like and exactly what he was going through. Oh my God. Hey, Alfred.
Hey, Mr. Greg.
How's it going?
Good. I just emailed you a few documents to e-sign.
Okay.
I don't know if you see them as yet.
No, I didn't look at them yet.
The agreement of sale and just some documents to say, I'm representing you, and a buy agency contract, consumer notice, and a deposit money notice as well.
Okay.
I'm gonna email you some more documents, the seller's disclosure of the property.
Yeah.
Seller's disclosure and the lead base.
Okay.
Just review and initial and sign.
All right, that sounds good. So I'm kind of busy right now, so I'm just going to take me maybe 30 or 45 minutes to look at it.
All right, no problem.
Okay. So the last thing I want to touch on, what time are we at right now? Okay, so we probably have like an hour. No, like 55 to an hour. He scrolled down. Oh, before I get to the next topic, I wanted to say that, make sure I clarified it. His thoughts are only going to be with him. So he can always use his thoughts he'll always remember how he felt before. He'll always remember how he may have thought, I'm going to quit. I'm going to give up. I don't want to do this. He'll always remember that. So whenever he's doing something new that's going to be hard, he'll remember, I wanted to give up before, after the accident, and I didn't do it then. I'm not going to give up now. So that's something I definitely want to, kind of clarify. No Donovan's questions this week. And the topic for today is have the energy, money, or network. I think that to be successful, you have to have one of these three things, and you have to have it in abundance to overcome the other issue that you may not have or you may be lacking in. So when I say have the energy, right, that means that right now we're doing wholesaling and we have a lot of energy to make phone calls, be up all night looking for properties, building, just putting a lot of actual man labor into it, a lot of thinking, just a lot of energy that we need to do that. Somebody who doesn't have the time to do it or doesn't have, maybe they're older, they're in the hospital, things like that. They don't have the energy to do those things. So by that, it means, okay, what is your competition doing? If you don't have the money to fight them, you have to outwork them. You have to go, okay, I am going to go door to door like my mom is doing. I'm going to make sure that I'm putting in as much energy as I can to beating you. I don't have the money or the network to do it, but I do have the energy, which you don't have. Because maybe you're just lazy. Maybe you don't want to go door to door to the projects to give out your flyer. Maybe you don't want to make phone calls every day, all day, to get your first wholesale deal. So for us, we have the energy. So that's how we are going to attack, the competition. Now, like I said, apply that to the same thing, whatever you're doing. The second thing is having money, right? So if you don't have energy, some people come into a lot of money. They're like, you know what? I got to inherit a settlement, or I got inheritance from my family or some friends. I'm going to just pay somebody to go to all of the houses and give them, flyers. I'm going to pay somebody to do all the calling for me for wholesaling and find agents and things like that. I can pay for marketing. I can just pay for all of those things, right? Now, this is good. This is very helpful too, because you can, if you have enough money, let's say that Melissa and I, my mom and my sister only went to Edenwald. If you have enough money, you could pay somebody to put flyers on 7 different project areas. You can have them put the flyers over there. You can put the money on a bus, the flyers on a bus. You can put the flyers in a train station. You can pay for marketing on TV. If you have the money, you can do that. Now, like I said, the difference is you have to be able to compete. So whatever amount of energy you need to compete with that much money is what you'd have to do for that. Now, the problem with having a lot of money is you're further detached from the situation. It's like, okay, I have all of this money, but I don't know how the people might just take the flyers and throw them in the garbage. People might just come and curse out one of the people who they're giving the flyers to. So there's more of a trade-off to that. Me personally, I'm an energy guy. I like to put out a lot of energy. That's just I like that because it's solely on me on how much I can get done. I like having the other two as well. It's the best to have all three. But if I had to pick one, I like energy. Then there's money, like I just said. Now, the third one is network, right? Now, I think that networking is probably the easiest because you don't need any money and you don't really need much energy. The issue that I personally have with networking is that you have to sacrifice yourself for the network that you have. Now, I have people that I know that like to have relationships with people. They prefer to have relationships as far as, oh, I can call up this guy, I can call up that guy, I can call up this person, call up that person. But what that comes with is usually when they call you, you need to do something. You need to do something for them. You need to do something for them. Also, it's how did you get to the situation where you're at? Where did I really put $2,400 on the EMD? So with the network, is usually have to sacrifice. I say sacrifice your soul for it because a lot of times people feel like, well, you owe me now. Like I did something for you, you do something for me. And it's very much helpful though to have a network because you can get your flyer on a bus for free just because you know the person that owns the bus. You know the person that owns the marketing company on the bus and they just do you a favor. But you also, like I said, have to sacrifice yourself to get to that point. So that usually means a lot of running around, a lot of ass kissing, a lot of dick sucking, a lot of that stuff you have to do to be able to build that kind of network. Now, that's usually that's what I've seen from building a network. But I do think that it has the most benefit of having a network to be able to just say, hey, I can call somebody to get you that. I can call somebody to get you that. I'm the plug. I got all the connections, right? For me, which one do you prefer? Do you think you would be?
Out of energy, money, or network?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm an energy person too. I like doing things.
Mm-hmm.
So like the clothing and stuff like that.
Yeah. So like I said, I like the energy because I have more control over what's happening. The energy that I put in can bring me money and bring me a network. The network can't really bring you energy and money can't really bring you energy either. You can have other people doing things for you, which is a form of energy, but it's not the best kind of energy. For me, it's like, hey, I can call you on the phone right now and build a relationship with you based off of, hey, I put in so much work on my own to, find this deal for you, and here you go. Just like that, I'd rather build a network that way, for putting in a lot of energy and building up a network from how much energy I put into it. I think that that's the most solid way you can get things done. And then if you put enough energy in to yourself, you can make the money and make the network from the energy. So me personally, I'm energy. I'm curious other people think. Other people might feel like, listen, I just want to have the money and give it to other people, do all the work for me, and I will just have to pay for the losses that come with that. And other people might feel like, listen, I don't mind, kissing ass a little bit, and what's it called? Smooching?
Schmoozing.
I feel like that's close.
Yeah, I feel like it's schmooze.
Yeah, right. Some people don't mind schmoozing. I think that's the word. I feel like that doesn't sound right. Is it? Y'all know what the word is, okay? Some people don't mind doing that, and they get successful. Because, like I said, imagine this: you could be a regular guy on the street and have the connections and end up being the president of a company just because somebody likes you, and you have that network built there. You could have things happen for you just for that network. So it's all up to you. What do you want to do? Where do you want to be? I feel like it's very important to think about that. But definitely remember, it's those three things you have to have. And if you don't know which one you have, then you need to find out which one you have. Do you have a network of people that you can talk to whenever you want? Because you're probably already in a situation right now. You probably already have money and just don't have a network of people that talk to you. And you don't have energy to do anything, but you have money. You don't know what to do with it. You have a network, but you have no money. You can get money. Well, actually, you don't really need money with a network. But now what the issue with a network is, you don't have anything for yourself as a network. Everything you have relies on everybody else around you. And I don't like that. I like energy because everything around me depends on what I have to do. So, and I can build money and network from energy. Other ones don't go the other way. So, and a network built with money is probably not going to be as sustainable either way too. So there's that. Now, the last topic I want to touch on was that people will want you to lie to them and then resent you for doing it. I feel like I vaguely touched on this last week, but I'm trying to get my thoughts together. Oh, I didn't talk about the babies. Can you go back up? How did I forget that? All the way up. Yeah. Okay, so I guess I'll tie this into that. So one thing I said earlier, or one of the topics earlier was, actually, I'll just leave it. I'll bring it back for next week. So people want to lie to you and then resent you for doing it. This is a problem that I had with running game on girls. I definitely think that it's more of I don't know if it's an emotionally immature thing or where it comes from, but people will get mad at you, right? You'll ask you a question and they want the honest answer from you, right? They want you to tell them the truth. You tell them the truth, and then their reaction is to try and hurt you emotionally because you hurt them, right? And I think that that's crazy because you'd want the truth from me. You said, you asked me, did that dress look good? I said, no. And now you're like, well, your shirt's ugly too. And it's like, what was that for? You're like, oh, well, because you told me my dress is ugly. And it's like, but you asked me what my truth was and I told you my truth. And then what happens is, if you don't tell them the truth, right, they know that the dress is ugly. Inside, they know. And they only want you to verify whether or not what they feel in their head is true. Right. And if you don't do it, when they leave, they're going to be like, damn, this person just don't be telling me the truth. I want them to tell me the truth. What comes from that is really an underlying pettiness. That's what happens. They hold on to that in their body. They know the truth. They know that they are either ugly. They know that they are fat. They know that they have been lying, or they know that they have been doing things that are wrong. They inherently know this. Right. And if you don't tell them, it just makes them feel worse because, like, damn, why is nobody telling me the truth? And it builds up a resentment for people around them. It's what you would call a yes man. I believe that people who have yes men resent them because, like, damn, I can't trust y'all. Y'all say yes to me for anything that y'all want to come up with. Anything I ask you a question, you just say yes to. And as I keep saying, it builds up a resentment to those people inherently. And what happens is now you want to kind of lash out at them, but you lash out at them in circumstances that do not relate to what they said to you originally. So, for example, think of it like this. You ask somebody, do you like my song? And they like, yeah, that song is fire, right? and they know the song is trash. They're like, oh, okay, all right. And they know you're lying. And what happens is they know that you're lying. So now they come back around. Let's say y'all go out to the store, right? Now they want to be petty. Oh, you want to listen? I'm rambling. So I'm getting tired. That's what's going on. And I'm gonna wrap this up another day because I'm getting tired. I have things to do today. But we will figure this out next week. How much time we have right now? An hour and 15? Because I feel it. I don't want to start. I realize that my cap is like an hour 15 to an hour 30. We've done 2.5 hour podcasts, which is ridiculous. But for me to still feel like I can move after the podcast, hour 15 to an hour 30 is pushing it. So I don't know where we're at right now, but we're probably around that time because I feel my body going, oh shit, this is rough. So for you guys already know, DM me consultations. We can get on the phone. DonivanGray, DonivanGray. And if you have a topic you want to discuss or something we said that you want us to dig deeper into, you can DM me on the Bamboo Project Podcast Instagram, which is the Bamboo Project _podcast. And we are welcoming guests. We might have a guest coming soon between 10 and 12 on Tuesdays, okay? And if you have not already, go check out our social medias, DonivanGray, DonivanGray, and my amazing girlfriend, AnetaBurn, AnetaBurn. We have multiple different projects, okay? We have the food project. We have the clothing project. We have the music project. We have the fitness project. We have the sports project. And we have the Bamboo Project podcast, which you're listening to right now, okay? Bamboo Project out.